A brief introduction of Kundan ji. He's the founder of 4.0 Smart Industry Advisor and is also a member of World Economic Forum AI and Climate Change. Today he's going to speak on sustainability adoption strategy for manufacturing industry. Over to you, Kundan sir, from you. Thank you so much.
So hi everyone. So this is what I am going to present, which is sustainability adoption strategy for manufacturing. Well, all of us are quite a lot known to new technologies, and that includes JanyuTech because your focus is technologies. But I believe with my last interaction, you are also linked with more of manufacturing or industrial, customer base. So considering that, whatever I am learning from the customers that I am interfacing, I'm just sharing you the key trends which are happening today. So if I'll ask anyone to everyone that which are the key technologies in today's world, you will hear primarily two or three. One is AI and second one is machine learning. Third one may be IoT or something like that. So if I'll ask to the team of JanyuTech, what is your feedback? You are in sync with what I'm saying as the key technologies that are hearing out from everyone?
Yes, sir.
I believe it is yes.
Yes.
And if I'll ask the next question, that if whomever from those people you are hearing this, if you check back to their industry, like from which industry or people from which all industry they talk on AI, machine learning and all this, by default you will find out these are all coming from IT companies. Now, the key thing is that if you align to your past experience, companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, all these leading ones, they are existing for the last 4 decades, okay, 3 to 4 decades, okay, or maybe more than that. Now they have their software development center, they have their people out there, but and whatever they used to do and whatever they are now doing in their office, and primarily they are not into manufacturing, they are into office where IT activities goes on, where they manage their projects. Now there is nothing has changed in their office. So they were using laptop, they were using computers and doing project, and they're doing it now and they're going to do in the next number of years as well. So then are you saying a laptop is a machine, or which ML technology that they're talking? And when they're talking, then how you are correlating that how ML is related to IT? Because a laptop or a computer, day zero is connected to a LAN. Okay, so there is no surprise. Day zero, any laptop or any computer in your office, day zero it is talking. So there is nothing called machine learning when laptop is the end device. Machine learning comes when it is the factory or a actual industry, okay, which is operating with different type of machine like excavators, shovel, crusher, those kind of, they are the machines. Now we have to learn those machines. So it is not typically the IT guys who are ever going to be associated with machine learning. They are going to be associated only when the machine is connected, starts communicating, provides data. Then there is a job of data analytics, which is a IT related job that goes without any say. So machine, to learn a machine, that particular part is not with a IT company, it is with a OT company, which is called as operational technology companies. But in the market, when you interact, you will not find a OT guy, you will find primarily IT guy. So that is what we are right now. Now, if you look at when we are talking of pollution, climate change and all, we all bring down to one factor, that is, everything is contributed. Carbon dioxide is the key contributor, methane another one. So all these contributions are coming from global, from multiple countries. Now what happens is that if you look at, when the pollution happens, it is not restricted, its impact is not restricted to the country which is polluting. It is a global contribution, it contributes to everywhere, okay? So in the research, in the recent study, okay, the overall impact of GDP by 2050 is going to be 37 trillion US dollar, okay, which is 3 times higher than the overall GDP of US as an economy. Okay, so that means the amount of solution which are going to be there addressing climate change, that is going to be much more or much lesser than in comparison to the impact of climate change. So that's why all of us, okay, irrespective of whoever works in whichever industry, we need to be concerned about the impact which is coming and which I started seeing in climate change, and we have to focus that whatever we are doing day to day life, we need to be sustainable and we should adopt sustainability. Now, if you look at on a global footprint point of view, so China is leading number one, okay, which is at 12 in carbon footprint, and then India is number 3, which is at 2.8 or close to 3. But the difference between India and China is that China geographical area is 2.5 times higher than India. So if you look at the carbon footprint per square kilometer point of view, then China is somewhere around little higher than India, right? But if we'll take the production or the manufacturing industry in China, they contribute 27% to the global manufacturing, and India contributes 1/10 of China, that is 2.7%. So at 2.7%, we are almost half of what's China's carbon footprint per square kilometer, because when I'm looking at carbon footprint impact, it is going to be realized per square kilometer. Now, if you look at on the everyone might have heard about the net zero target of all the countries, and they have already given their commitment for net zero adoption. So India has given 2070 as the adoption to net zero. Now, what it means, and in the same fashion, China has given 2060 as their net zero target. Now the question remains is that if India has to reach to 2070 energy, and we are standing at a juncture that our production is less, our contribution of manufacturing is less, and we have a major growth plan for manufacturing with respect to our GDP growth. Now, if we keep that into account, then our energy consumption is going to multiply 3 times by 2050. And if we have to meet to that one and our manufacturing growth, then the key contributor to energy, which is fossil fuel, that is coal-based, energy generation, that is a key concern for us, because we have to shift to renewable. The adoption that we have taken in renewable, whatever we can say is EV vehicles and all, but actually that is not renewable. That is because end of the day they are using fossil fuel based charging. So it is not actually contributing to carbon emission, or but it matters because it reduces little bit of carbon dioxide. But it is not that it is 100% contributing to net zero. If we could have, or if we will migrate to hydrogen, then the impact on reduction of carbon dioxide, that will remain much bigger than in comparison to the EV vehicles that we have right now. Okay, so now if we take India into India's commitment and approach, what India is doing in its strategy, so we are at a very bad position at this point in time. Okay. Among the ranking of UN ranking of good, average and poor, we are standing the poor and the poorest. Okay, and that too considering our contribution to climate change. Okay, that's why recently the new research has happened. The 80% of carbon climate change is contributed by only 57 companies in the world, and those 57s are primarily not I'm saying companies in the sense, the end manufacturers and all. It is basically the energy companies and their segment. So the number one is out of the 57, the top 10s are like Saudi Aramco, then Gazprom, Coal India. So in out of the Indian companies, Coal India is standing now number 3 globally in contribution to global climate change. And the climate change is primarily contribution coming from electricity and manufacturing, where coal is used massively in India. And India's next generation manufacturing, if it is based on, of course, it will be manufacturing, and transport is the area which is not, which contributes to carbon dioxide, but it also something, if gets migrated to EV, it is not contributing that much to climate, the reduction in climate to carbon dioxide is not that much, because end of the day, the batteries are getting charged from electricity, which are produced based on fossil fuel. So in whichever manner, if you look at in India, considering our next generation growth in industrial economy, we are at a very critical phase, and our approach is very, very, I'll put it, we are not proactive, not at all reactive. I don't know what we are, but our approach is very, very poor at this point in time across all the design elements, whether it is, all the components that are given from 2 to 10. So across all the component, we are almost negative, bad, and 1 or 2 are average. Okay, we are not having a green position and in any of this approach. So that is the fact today, and these data are not old. This is 2023 data. So you can make out, from this where exactly we are heading. Now, the only option which I personally find is that India is going to impose, a lot of restrictions in the next or this decade. If they have to, go with this, we have to understand the clear factor that we are a export economy, because of our currency management. So if we are going to be a manufacturing hub, we are not only going to have our domestic supply demand, but we have to also cater for the international supply demand. And if all the companies are going to look at seriously on the carbon trading or carbon management, then India, even though India may focus a lot in manufacturing, on produce a lot, but it may not have the right market or the right supplier for the globe. Once the global companies are going to have their restriction on carbon footprint, and they will discourage companies or buying companies which are contributing to climate change. So that is a critical component which are going to come. So today it is not that much of focused by the government, but eventually it will be. So, and so far Janayu is concerned, I believe your focus is into manufacturing, and you are directly and indirectly linked with your solution to address this kind of challenge. So I strongly believe that, Janayu's focus has to be further integrated with sustainability approach. Now, how private sector companies, if you look at the bottom one, how they are now getting ready for the carbon control related approach. So the next generation carbon control is now being focused by companies which were never into consumption or never into manufacturing, like Microsoft, then Google, Spotify, then Facebook. They all are now contributing big in buying or investing in companies which are related to carbon dioxide management. So that is a major focus, because they are able to understand that how it is going to impact. So today, Infosys, Wipro and all, they are able to do majority of business which is export. But eventually they will be targeted that end of the day, it is the laptop that they use in their company, the kind of power that they use, the energy they consume. If they are not renewable source based, then it is going to be a major impact to their doing business outside or doing business to the customers who are from different geography. So even for non-manufacturing companies, these are coming as a key restrictions in today's world, which is a good thing. So with that, I will finish my this presentation.
Kundanji, namaste. This is Hemant here. So, in fact, the topic
Please
that you have
bataiye.
touched today is so close to what we as JanyuTech, when we identify ourselves, this is how we sort of identify ourselves, that what Infosys or TCS have done in the IT space is something that we would like to create in the OT space with our solutions. Here, how do you
Excellent.
think, or what do you think will be the sort of business models that will catapult companies to the size of what these IT companies are today in terms of the scale of operations? How do you think this will evolve? Because OT scaling up at this scale is quite a challenge. So how do you think that ecosystem will evolve?
I'll just give the answer with one particular example, if I may. Will that be okay? So I'm taking here the example of textile. Okay, if you look at in textile, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, that remains the global hub for manufacturing. Okay, and what they do, so one is agricultural pollution, chemical pollution, consumption, because once you are using a lot of clothing, which is a textile product, you are also contributing to, you're a consumer, so you have to be sustainable in your consumption. That means you have to align to circular economy of reuse, go for resell or buyback, those kind of approach. Okay, then so if you look at overall, what is happening is that the industry is now like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, they are the low cost geography, and that's why they are the global hub for manufacturing, because all the leading brands like Bosch, Jara, so they get an advantage of the low cost manufacturing based out of Bangladesh, India and Sri Lanka. But textile industry is a key contributor of water pollution, okay, because they use a lot of chemical, okay, and at the same time textile companies are also supports a lot of circular economy, because certain textile products, they're actually used from plastics. So you have plastic, so there are certain manufacturers in Sri Lanka and India which where all the plastic bottles and plastic waste they use, and they use that to develop their yarn, and from that they come up with clothing materials. So that means they're doing good as well. But if they are contributing to any kind of pollution, so that is negative. Now, when the textile company is going for a digital transformation, the part which is there, that how the production is going to go up, machine learning, artificial intelligence, automation, so that is more to do with the production efficiency of the factory, which is going to contribute to their revenue source, okay, which is revenue growth. But the technology that they are using, it should not only be related to production enhancement, but it also need to be like, if my machine is working at this RPM and this vibration, this kind of condition, then how with lesser power the performance is going to be improved, how the operational maintenance of the machine or utilization of machine. So the KPI which is more to do with production need to shift to consumption as well, okay, which need to be focused finally with an objective that if I am making certain number of dresses, like say 1,000 dresses per day with and generating X amount of revenue and consuming Y amount of power or energy cost, then forget the cost of the energy, then how with a lesser energy cost I can improve the numbers and I can improve my revenue. So that has to be the target. And in the meantime, so that is so far the machine digital transformation is concerned. But when I am also throwing out any of my pollutant, let's say in Bangladesh, if you look at most of the textile companies, they use chemicals and all and directly put it to the rivers, and the rivers are completely contaminated. So, and most of, and you must have heard this concept called ESG rating and all they do for claiming that they are sustainable. Now, what is happening, going to happen or happening is that the companies which are buyer to such kind of manufacturer, they are asking them that I don't want ESG as a number of every month. I want a ESG data on a real time basis. That means if whatever you're polluting, your output that you're throwing to river, I want a real time data of their pollution capture, okay, and that need to be reported. So that means you are going to put a video camera and analytics to the outlet of that particular pipe which is throwing that chemical to the river, okay. So, and on a video analytics, you should have the analyzing capability of what is the pollution level of that particular outlet. So that is going to be a real-time data that the buyer is now demanding. So all those, AI, ML and all those things we should not focus only for generating more production, but it should also be parameter to focus on sustainability and control of climate change related parameters. So the ESG strategy should not be a monthly or yearly or quarterly specific, rather it need to be real time based, and the real time based you have to target or track that how the ESG developments are happening and how the companies actually deploying infrastructure and technologies to manage not only the production but also control the pollution. I hope I answered.
So my question is slightly on this side that, for example, in the IT industry, there are some technology developers like say Oracle or Microsoft, which come out with their products, or SAP, they come up with their products, and then they have implementation partners like the TCS or Infosys or Accenture and so on and so forth. This is the sort of ecosystem that they have established for global rollouts. Now, do you see some such thing possible in this industry or this area which we are talking? That is one. Because for each problem here, the solution seems extremely different. That is one. Number two, I think beyond the data capture area, where the data capture by itself may not really lead to anything conclusive, except for knowing that this is the pollution levels. There may have to be a physical work that may be required to improve something, which in case of IT, it was very easy to roll out those new features. Whereas in case of a physical setup, it's a longer gestation or a deeper supply chain. So how do you think that will evolve?
Okay, let me first address to the IT part and then I'll come to the OT part. Okay, so if you look at the key raw material are used in an IT company, there are primarily three things. One is the employees or people. Okay, there are raw material for a IT company. Okay, if not considered in the segment of materials, but as a human being, because they're the one who are there in the facility and they're the resource.
Right.
And Indian IT companies, they sell manpower. Okay, they're not majority of companies which focus on products. Majority of companies and their revenue are more aligned to services. So it is manpower centric industry, not product centric industry. So, but they serve to product companies like, as you correctly said, Microsoft or SAP or Oracle, those are the companies. Now, what happens is that, isn't it important that the IT company will also be given target of ESG? Yes, it is. Okay. For example, now the laptops, so if you look at a laptop, Okay, the laptop is, and if you look at in TCS, there are more than 5 lakh employee and 5 lakh laptops are there in TCS. That's a fact. Now, every laptop, there is a X amount of power consumption is going on. Now, the laptop that they are buying and giving to their employees, they are having a major component which is contributor of power, that is a fan. Now, there are new laptop technologies which are coming without fan, but they will have the liquid coolant which is integrated to the laptop. Second thing is that imagine all the sourcing that they do. That sourcing, after, let's say, the IT team has a laptop's depreciation is 3 years. So after 3 years, that laptop is contributing negative to the climate. So everything that they need to source should be on a commercial model of renewable or circular economy. That means if I am buying 1000 laptops from HP, then HP not only selling the laptop, but after 3 years, after the laptop is depreciated, HP should buy back from me. So on my account, I will have carbon zero against my hardware or electronics as zero. So there is a lot that if any RFP that is coming from a IT company, okay, that means Infosys, Wipro and all, and any RFP which is coming from a IT product company like Oracle, Microsoft and all, they should, in the RFP, it should be clearly written that I will only appreciate the solution or the proposal which will bring low carbon footprint in my account. So if Wipro, Infosys and Tech Mahindra, they are applying for a project for Microsoft, then they have to say that how many employees are working, how the employees are coming to office, how much time they are remaining in office, what is the power consumption, what is the petrol consumption, everything that they are going to disclose. Okay, what is their per employee? So the IT company need to also disclose not only their revenue growth, but also going to disclose their per employee contribution negative to the climate. And those are eventually going to be a parameter for their buyer to grade them. It is not only the solution and the technology which they are capable of, or not only the skill set of the people. So those are the new policies which are now getting imposed between the supply and demand in the supply chain management. So that extends to manufacturing as well, in OT and all. Now coming to the OT part of it, in OT, like the one thing is that in supply chain, they have to get integrated with all this sustainability support, supply chain policies and all. That is one. Second is that all the technologies that you are using, okay, all the infrastructure, machines and everything that you're using, you have to bring a very close track. Okay, like for example, if company A has a lathe machine and company B has a lathe machine, but B is using a power supply or power efficiency parameters which are more efficient and the performance is relatively better than in power consumption point of view, may not be in the production related output, then you have to focus the consumption part more than the production. So that is the kind of approach in a factory kind of scenario also now getting focused. So in the overall economic growth, GDP growth, we should not only focus on the GDP growth, revenue growth and all, we have to also focus on that growth to be positive. At the same time, the contribution to climate change has to be negative. Now, if we are a key contributor, then probably our focus in the reduction of the carbon footprint need to be more focused than the revenue growth. Okay, and eventually, based on the sustainability approach we are taking, if not today, government has given any kind of tax rebate and all these things, but eventually that tax related benefits are going to come, and the impose of your buyers, okay, to buy sustainable product, that policy is also going to push the manufacturing companies to control their power consumption or like overall energy consumption and sustainability approach to provide positive or reduce more and more climate change related negative contribution. So those are bound to happen, and I am finding more that it is so recently in Europe the policy has come up very stringent for manufacturing companies, but at the same time the government is also aligning themselves to give tax benefits and all to those companies. So it is a combination of everyone in the ecosystem. So it is not that one guy is going to contribute, the other guy is going to get benefit. So it is like every guy has to contribute in with respect to their business. And certain guys, like for example Microsoft and all, if they are not contributing larger to the negative, like for example a Microsoft is getting used in manufacturing, but it is not associated with. But eventually Microsoft will go for manufacturers, okay, which to whomever they are selling their products, there will be restriction will come that, for example, if they are selling it to a carbon company, they have to charge more than a educational institute which is not contributing maximum to and the tax, if Microsoft's major growth is happening from energy segment or manufacturing segment or those IT industry or those kind of industry, they have to provide a wider different tax for those kind of revenue than from an educational institute. So it's a complicated carbon calculation methodology which is getting adopted, and it is evolving every day, okay, with involvement of calculation, research as well as government. But the end goal is that everything has to work to make sure that we have to achieve the sustainability parameters, whatever is needed. Now everyone in the entire ecosystem need to align to that one, and they have to, if it has to be a negative profitability or reduction in profitability and growth, that is also accepted. Yeah, sorry. So I'll just give you one example in Coal India. So Coal India, as you know, like they're in microscope because of their contribution to pollution. Now Coal India is going through a digital transformation. Now in that, so the major component, which is, of course, they supply to steel companies, power companies. So there are different grades of coal. The highest grade are sold to or given to the steel companies and aluminum companies. The lowest grade one that given to NTPC and all, because that is into steam power. But you need very high power from high grade coal, that is for steel and aluminum. Now the question is that the high grade coals are now charged much higher, and that so more they are going to sell the high grade coals, they are going to be taxed much higher because they're getting a lot of revenue. And that tax is indirectly going to compensate other companies which are not able to grow but are contributing related to sustainability. So that is how it is a job of government to work out on that particular policy framework. But now again coming to Coal India, so if you look at in the mines, there is a specific process. So you have a shovel, you have a crusher, so that cuts the coal. Now, typically the coal, like most of the Coal India in eastern India, which are there like in Odisha, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, so there the temperature in the range of around 45 degree in summer. So when you cut the coal, that time there is a lot of chances that it will cut fire. So what happens is that there is water spray happens on the cutter, right, so that it takes care of, one is the dust goes to the air, second is that the chances of getting fire. Now today, it is done with a thumb rule that the RPM is this much and the spray amount of water is this much. So you are not concerned about the water consumption or the water that you are spraying, that is high or less, you are just doing it on a thumb rule. Okay, but now they are looking that depending on what is the grade of the coal. So that is the coal grading which need to be identified, the crusher which is cutting the coal at a RPM, okay, and the production amount, and the water spray and the temperature and the dust contribution to air. So everything is getting machine learned. So that means you are learning from your jet, water gun, you're learning from your crusher, you're learning from the coal as well. Okay, so every information is taken, done with data analytics, done with artificial intelligence, and then everyone is operated with a control or the policies that are coming from the central mine controlling board. Okay, so so that particular rotation and spray and everything is being done in consideration of how the energy consumption is less, which is contributed to the gun and the crusher, how the power is going to be controlled. That means I should not overflow or overgun the power amount, the water amount. So everything is now going to be controlled. So now they are digitizing everything with respect to such kind of deployments. But yes, they are targeted to reduce down. Otherwise, their buyers who are different factories are now going to, if they are not giving this kind of information on a real-time basis with an average value and mean value, then the buyers are, if they are going to buy from Coal India, they are going to additional tax. So the carbon trading is between how you are operating, how you are contributing to pollution, how if you are selling, how your buyer is ignoring, only for price sensitive or price matter, ignoring and going with you and buying it from you. So even they are going to be taxed. So all these are going to be interlinked now. So anything that is going to happen in digital strategy, that's why I said it need to have a lot of information related to factory, which is not only focused on the productivity gain, but also the sustainability approach and control of energy, pollution, all those parameters. Okay, the end result is going to be your focus, not only the production. I hope I answered.